Welcome everybody to another RWD video. We are playing a live play of the Mecha Hack brought to you by the Absolute Tabletop Group in conjunction, not the group, Absolute Tabletop Publishing Company in combination with David Black's Black Hack rule system. Very rules light, but super fun to play if you like fighting giant robots in space. I'm going to hand it off to my players to introduce any kind of plugs and who they are, and then I'm going to take it back, introduce the setting, and then we're going to jump right into the fun tonight. So I'm going to start with the incorrigible Dave.
Hey folks, I'm Dave with Mornblade Gaming, and I am coming back at this playing Righteous Joker. The pilot's name is Terrence Stockwell. He is the commander of the Misfits, and so far has had 2 successful runs, albeit they've done a lot of damage to their equipment. But most recent one, they took out the traitorous Napalm Archer. So we're kind of light on some of the crew. Some of the pilots weren't available for the mission tonight, but we're still going to kick some ass.
And that we are, because though we need time to mourn, time doesn't stop to let us. I'm going to hop over to Jose.
Hey everybody, my name's Jose, and today I'm playing Gladiator Epoch. And yeah, just can't wait to see what happens during this mission. We definitely been through a lot of crazy stuff. So.
Well, then I hope tonight isn't too much of a shock, because we're going to dive into the crazy, hopefully. And then finally, a new member to the Fire Squad, Jon.
Yep, third time's a charm. We've tried it every time. I am going to be playing Hungry Zombie. He's a mechanic striker from this, and his whole thing is his monk is salvaged gear, literally.
As far as I'm concerned, Jon, a wizard arrives precisely when he means to. So to kick us off, you find yourself flying through space. It's cold. It's, for the most part, motionless. In the distance, the sun burns brightly, as it always has and always will, until the end of its day. The party finds themselves on the USS freighter, the Benjamin Franklin, as they have just returned from their mission to the far reaches of Venus, or no, Jupiter rather, to confront a once comrade turned nemesis, Napalm Archer. This radical was responsible for the deaths of many pilots very close to the crew of the Misfit fire team. One of them being one of our missing pilots tonight, Viper Heavy's brother. He was an information specialist, really close to a breakthrough on some Martian interpretations, and his commander, Napalm Archer, turned and just killed his squad. So now that you've returned, some of the party is splitting ways. You see the burden of the grief kind of weighing heavy on Viper, and he takes a couple days to himself to relieve some stress at the command of your. Actually, I'm pretty sure Righteous Joker would have probably given that issue. So he leaves to kind of recollect himself, and you have Doc, pilot of the Silver Fox or Gray Fox, one of the two. He, in his wheelchair, glides down the hallway, for he has some, extra business that he has to attend to, and that leaves Righteous Joker and Gladiator Epoch standing in a hallway, with a lot to do, a lot to think about. You know that you have a meeting with the captain of the ship, probably like 6 hours, and you have news that you're to meet your new fire team squad mate under the issue of the captain as well. So I'm going to leave it up to you, Commander Stockwell or Gladiator Epoch. What are some things that you would need to take care of in a world where you are confined to a metal bubble floating through space?
I don't know. That's a tough question. I think I don't know. I guess taking care of some exercise and stuff. Maybe go for like a little joyride before he goes crazy.
Commander, you're a busy man. What are you doing?
Paperwork. I got to write up the exploits of the last mission, and unfortunately, it's a little longer this time because it involves the explanation of taking down Napalm Archer. Because even though he was a traitor, he was once a member of the squad. So I am typing up the report and trying to make sure that it sounds right in delivery and tone. And,
was Commander Stockwell a member of the USS 30 years ago during the first mech wars?
John?
No, I'm asking you. Sorry. Stockwell.
Oh, Commander Stockwell. Isn't Stockwell John's character? Or am I getting confused here?
Aren't you Commander Stockwell, Righteous Joker?
I know who I am.
I don't know who you are, I guess.
Commander Stockwell was. He has been. He's an older gentleman, so he has probably been. He was a green recruit about 30 years ago. So
I would imagine that Napalm Archer and you were both in like boot camp together at one point.
yeah,
Shared a few missions even. So maybe a few flashbacks to the Battle of the Moon, where mechs traverse the relatively small in comparison to the Earth spheroid that orbits that planet. That ultimately ended with Earth being destroyed. And as you're doing paperwork, there's a knock on the door. Hungry zombie. That's your cue.
Stockwell is in the moment. He's kind of looking at this glass that's holding whiskey, and he's thinking about the night after which was the celebration of the battle, and he remembered that night that it was a dart throwing contest, and the pilots, in particular, Napalm Archer, had actually won that, and it was a distinctly fun evening, albeit a rough morning the next day, as he hears this knock at the door. He kind of sits there for a moment and downs it and corks the bottle and throws it into his desk, and he says, "Come."
The littlest, most skeletal-looking guy you have ever seen. He looks tiny. Walks in. Says he kind of does a halfway salute. Sir.
I didn't know they were sending in a data engineer.
Not a data engineer, an engineer in general. I've heard that you could use some help, and my hunk of junk was the one who was picked. I pilot the Hungry Zombie.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I mean, we had a cripple last time, and he comported himself well. So, what can you tell me about your record as he sits?
Mainly maintenance. The Hungry Zombie is my first official piloting rig, and I literally built her out of scrap. Or him. He likes chewing up the pieces of other mechs.
And pilot, what was your name again?
They call me Voodoo.
Boo Boo?
Voodoo.
Voodoo. Nice. All right. So, Hungry Zombie, otherwise known as Voodoo. Well, at this point, we're currently on R&R, but as you're aware, this can change drastically. You say you're an engineer, right?
Mm-hmm. Don't know many other people who can take a Hulk of a mech and this is from about 20 kills and manage to make it work. He ain't pretty, but he gets the job done.
And what's the first rule from pilot school?
Didn't go. I know how to fly, though.
All right. Well, he breaks
I'm a
out the
shipboard trainee.
You're a shipboard trainee. Oh Lord. He kind of says under his breath.
I've shot a few of your former pilots out of the simulator seats.
Well, everybody's got to get in their butt in the seat sometime. I guess yours is their time. He stands up and he's, welcome aboard. He kind of shakes his hand.
Thank you, sir.
What?
But he does have quite a firm grip for a guy his size.
Yeah, you kind of see Stockwell's eyebrows kind of rise a little bit. Stockwell is a kind of a tall man. He's fairly lean but well built. He's got salt and pepper hair, kind of like, combed back. And he's currently probably wearing some sort of off-duty shirt that's untucked and,
Voodoo is in a pair of black coveralls commonly used by the mechanics. And probably a white t-shirt or what you're guessing used to be white.
Right. He's been under the rig a couple times.
He's been under more mechs in this place than probably about any other engineer.
Well, let's go take a look at our mechs because since you're an engineer and we have a little bit of time on our hands, I could use you giving them a once over and maybe make some suggestions.
Absolutely, sir. And I'm sure you want to check out the Hungry Zombie.
Definitely. And he goes over and tucks in his shirt and gets his one of those leather like bomber jackets on, and he grabs something quickly that you notice is like a silver flask and puts it into his pocket. And so we head out the door and start heading to the bay, the hangar bay.
You are met by the pilot of Gladiator Epoch down in the hangar bay. He's kind of, actually, you tell me, Jose, what are you doing down there? You finished working out?
He probably just got back from taking us to the joyride, and he's just checking his mech for the new upgrades that he got. See, make sure that everything's working good.
It's around this time that you guys are all kind of meeting up. That most of the ship is going to dinner. You are certainly entitled to your share of food, but I mean, this is the first time that Gladiator has met Zombie, and like you said, you wanted to check out your chassis. So, I mean, if you would like to, you can go ahead and describe what you got. Or, I mean, that's completely up to you.
Yeah, he was probably, you know, like checking the little spot that they put over the shoulder where it would open up and like shoot the rockets out of, making sure that, you know, like nothing is jammed in there. And then he would check his new like armor plating and, you know, just make sure everything's good, and then he would head to the target area and test it out.
You haven't received your upgrades just yet. You guys have, like I said, just returned from your mission. So if anything, you're placing the kind of like command order to get certain upgrades to your ship based on the amount of credits you have received.
So maybe he was just making space then, so that way they can be installed then.
Checking the turret back into the armory. As you guys are noticing the rest of the either pilots or mechanics kind of clearing out, a couple of lights are hit, and it's kind of just like three main floodlight, or not maybe three, like a line of floodlights through the center of the bay here. And then there's like the individual spotlights that are by the feet of each one of the chassis. And this hangar is, I wouldn't say full, but probably a good 65% full. Mechs of various kinds. You recognize a few of them as like Wolf Shredder, the companion to the Silver Wolf, piloted by Doc. There is the third of the Viper series, Viper Pinnet, a scout model that rounds out the three, and various others. But you find yourself in front of Hungry Zombie, and the clicks of polished shoes ring out as an echo through the bay as you are approached by Captain Boggs. Or Admiral Boggs, whatever.
Oh, fuck. And he kind of grabs Voodoo and quickly tries to edge behind a leg and sort of get out of sight. Did he see us, you think?
Oh, he absolutely seen you. He's walking right towards you, and his hands behind his back. Stockwell, it's been 30 years, and you're still hiding from me? Thought you were a braver man than that.
Not hiding, sir. Just, you know, trying to actually take a full leave this time as opposed to every other time. Seems like everything I was always blowing up.
He smirks. Men of our caliber don't get such R&R. You know that. When was the last time you had a full R&R? Yeah. Never. You've never had one.
I don't know what I do, actually.
You get
Speaking
bored.
of which, we got an engineer here, and I believe that there were some new modules promised. Especially since we're taking this greenhorn out, I think it would be useful that, because I know why you're here. I could tell by the look on your face what's coming.
Well, if they set him down to you, I have every faith he'll turn him into a fine soldier.
But with that in mind, can we get a rush on those new modules so that we can get them added to our...
He reaches over for like the tablet that you would have liked highlighted and clicked like the repairs required and the upgrades that you're requesting, like munitions reloaded. He takes the tablet and he like pulls down a drop down menu, brings up an admin function, puts in his code, and approved. It'll take some time to get them modified and attached, but at the end of the week, I'm sure you'll find that everything is exactly how you'd like it.
So we have till the end of the week this time.
I can expedite the process if you're getting bored. I know it's been 6 hours since you've been here.
No, and he's just out of character. He's just fucking with him because he knows that, like he said, basically it seems like every time we keep coming back, he's like, all right,
here's your next assignment.
Guys, we need you to go out. So
he's go ahead.
Yeah, he looks over at Voodoo and he says, can you, like we talked about, can you oversee that, ensure that it gets put on correctly. I mean, technically, since you're a pilot now, you don't have to do the work, so you can just oversee the work.
That's assuming that I trust anyone else's work but my own.
Well, yeah, we do have to put some trust in their hands, don't we?
Well, I guess that's up to you, really. We only have so many engineers aboard the USS Benjamin Franklin. And he takes a more serious note. The Martian brought aboard shortly after your confrontation with the alien mech outside of Jupiter's orbit. The interrogation has been interesting, to say the least. We have decided we are going to be transporting her to the prison base on Titan outside of Mercury, or outside Mercury's orbit, inside Mercury, wherever Titan is, I think. Is Titan even by? You're going to a moon.
Saturn.
You're going to a moon by Mercury. How's that sound? Prison moon. So you will be escorting the caravan between here and the warp portal that will take them just outside of Mercury's orbit. That warp portal just so happens to be through an asteroid field, and the largest wrecked cargo hull that we've ever tried to bring out here. To say that it is space debris is an understatement. We'll have to keep it tight, and we'll have to keep it neat, but we should be able to make it through with the captive secure.
So we're going to be babysitters on this one.
It should be a relief from your last mission, if I'm not mistaken. Which, sorry, Stockwell, but we needed you.
Yep. He kind of gives him a, not a rude, but a salute.
I trained Napalm, just like I trained you, and it's hard to watch a student turn his back. But I digress. You got a week. The convoy leaves, give or take 8 days. Earth time, or Mars time, rather. So we'll have the adjustments made to your mechs. We'll have them refitted. Gladiator, was there anything specific you wanted? And I'm sure you have marked it down on the tablet.
Yeah, he would probably like open up his tablet and kind of like flip it and send it to his, and he's like, "This is what I would like, sir, if that's all right." And then he would just like stand and waiting for.
He would take your tablet too. Pull down the admin icon, push the approved. I trust you will do your best out there, hungry zombie. A mech's a mech, but a pilot is indispensable. He clicks his heels and turns to leave.
He's a good guy, but they don't seem to understand that, you keep milking the stone, sooner or later, the pilots are going to crash. But at least we have till the end of the week. Oh, yes, this is Gladiator. We call him Joseph.
Yeah, he would probably just reach out his hand to give him a handshake, see what happened.
Watch that grip there.
Gladiator, do you have a name, or are you just Gladiator?
His name is Joseph Rodriguez.
Joseph Rodriguez. So you shake hands?
I would imagine so if he, if he's cool with that.
Yeah, he's got a kung fu death grip. Watch out.
See Hungry Zombie? The mech looks like it's been built literally out of every scrap mech you could assemble. You aren't even sure how it can be done. There is a missile rack on his back, and other than that, some of the pieces you aren't even sure if it.
Well, as long as it flies.
You see a short man. He's bald. He's got like a wiry mustache, like a thick brown mustache. You see him kind of like munching on sandwiches. He's coming back. His mechanic's coverall's tied around his waist, revealing like a wife beater stained with grease, hydraulic fluid.
Yeah, this guy we nicknamed Danny DeVito.
This is DeVito.
Right. We call him DeVito for short.
He has been your mechanic for the last probably 8 months. He got signed over to you. He's not the head mechanic. He's like the most diligent working. Hungry Zombie, you probably are in the same maybe outer circles as this guy. You're aware of him, or you are. That's up to you. He walks up and he picks up the tablet that he looks through. Looks through. 8 minutes record time. You must have got the captain to approve this.
No, I'm just that important now, DeVito. Didn't you know that?
Joker, have you ever been important to anybody in your entire life? As he's kind of like scrolling through it, kind of getting like the statistics of what he needs.
I don't know. Just ask Joseph about that.
Joseph, would you like to refute what I said, or do you agree?
I agree.
That's what I thought.
When he looks over at me, he knows better than to even talk about touching Zombie.
And he was actually, Voodoo. I would say I'd be more than happy to accept the applications to your mech, but I'm sure I don't even need to. Let me finish this sandwich.
I look at him and say, Voodoo's running fine.
As he like kind of brushes his hands off on his wife beater, he'll reach his hand out. Well, welcome to the fire team. Happy to help you out.
Yeah, the handshake this time isn't just a firm grip; it's a heavy, firm grip.
DeVito's not the type of guy to like exert dominance, but he'll meet you there. As there's like a kind of maybe a friendly rivalry engineer bond being formed.
Well, half the engineers thought that Hungry Zombie would never get off the ground, let alone be a serviceable mech.
He may be infatuated with the concept at which you have employed as like a field engineer. Never would have thought of it myself.
Oh, we'll see how she holds up, but I can't imagine having a problem.
And he kind of is like getting ready to pick up some tools to get started with the requisition. Well, shoot, man. I've always dreamed of getting my ass inside one of those chassis. You make another engineer model, I'll be all over it.
Well, get in the simulator, how you fly. The thing about Voodoo isn't that it's made out of parts. The thing about Voodoo is the thing Voodoo did with him is Hungry Zombie is made to be what we salvage. And there's always salvage.
So, like, motto, you see, like, him pull out his tattoo of the Engineers Guild. There's always salvage. With that, we see, like, the camera pan back to the heavily shadowed forms in the dark bay taking their exit towards the mess hall. Fast forward to star date 1 week later. You see the four of you outfitted in your spacesuits, getting loaded into your chassis. It's a large armored transport ship. It's like halfway between like main transport and like a fighter ship. There's guns and there's armor on it, but it's a little bit more bulky than your standard fighter. You see like a swarm of soldiers attending to it, all sorts of scientists, interpreters, archaeologists, even people that do not even really have a spot on this this space freighter. And then there's the three of you in the loading bay, going through the launch sequence precautions, I guess, the screenings for making sure all of your make sure all your modules were installed correctly. Everything seems to have the green light. The fighter ships take off with a whir of like the engines fueling out into the void. There's the flare of the engine of the transport vessel coming to life as it also takes off out of the bay. And last, a second round of fighters hovering slower in their takeoff as they follow the transport out. The three of you are left to do as you please, really, in this escort mission. Fighter planes or spaceships tend to usually be the more common thing out in like deep space, but it is a heavily populated with foreign materials kind of terrain. So something with hands that can maneuver with hands and legs, with guns and swords, would be extremely helpful. So the three of you are launched from the bay and left to keep up.
So we're flying alongside this this transport carrier?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
It's fairly smooth sailing for probably the first couple hours, just the inky blackness of space. But you are aware of like a huge cloud of space debris in combination with like an asteroid field of various sizes, some like larger than our moon, some smaller than your mechs. The most notable thing here is this massive space freighter that is like fragmented like the Titanic. It was broken half. It didn't sink, but like the pieces of this thing have been scattered at such high velocity that it kind of swarms this cloud of stones in a very dangerous shrapnel of metal. Most of the planes and transport, I keep saying planes, most of the ships and transport vessels are outfitted with like an electromagnetic field that keeps most of these small things that would ultimately compromise the hull. But massive objects are kind of unavoidable. So what is, this is going to be the first kind of role for the evening. What are you doing to protect the caravan convoy?
I think. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say that Commander Stockwell's going to inform Gladiator and Zombie that we need to kind of satellite the other vessel and kind of clear the path as necessary. So we're going to kind of swing around and blast out to ensure that debris doesn't fly into the ship.
Give me a standard power.
That is a success with a 9 for me.
I got a failure.
Gladiator, as you're kind of doing your best to protect the caravan from the swarms of stones, there is a incredibly rapid moving piece of space debris that kind of rips through the front of your chassis. It doesn't do any damage, but you fear it might come into play later, as anything hitting you is kind of just bad news out here. But the rest of you, for the most part, are able to deflect any kind of incoming shit that's flying through. Everything is going smoothly as far as flying through an asteroid field is concerned. Everyone give me system checks.
Success.
That's like rolling a nat 20.
It is, in fact, rolling a nat 20. Did you succeed, Dave? Okay,
I did.
good.
So yeah, and I just kind of call out, way to clean up your act there, Gladiator.
And as you're making this comment, you hear the beep of something on your radar. It's far away, but your pivotal scans have revealed something. Gladiator, your pip on your radar stays alit. Your scanner is seeming to have latched on to whatever it is. There's something out there.
Yeah, he would turn to Righteous Joker and he'd be like, "Sir, I got something in the radar and it's not going away."
You got a location?
Yes, I do. Do we want to follow it, or do you want me to go after it?
Is it on our path, or wait, is it coming towards us?
It seems to be stationary, but it is definitely in front of you, in between you and the warp location.
Yeah, I would make sure to let him know that it's pretty much in our way, like to our destination.
Now, this transport vessel is not. It does have turrets and such on it. It can protect itself to a certain degree.
To a certain degree. Like I said, it's a combination of a transport vessel and a fighter ship, so it literally attempts to take the best of both worlds, but also gets its drawbacks of both.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what you guys are here for. Like, the fighter planes are also very useful, against other fighter planes. When it comes to like space warfare, your mechs are the cream of the crop.
Can you send over the coordinates to us?
Your readings say about far. It's like roughly 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers. It's a barrage of space debris in between you and there, but you're moving in rapidly as the caravan moves forward. It doesn't seem like they have any inclination that anything's out there.
Do you want me to go out ahead and see if I can pick something up? I've got probably with some of the best sensor systems we've got. Nothing fancy, but I know how to use them.
All right, zombie. You hear him kind of clap his hands together. Let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get crazy. No reason to,
I may be in a crazy mech. That doesn't mean I'm suicidal.
Excellent. I like the sound of that.
Just make sure you stay in one piece.
I'm hoping to find some more pieces, but that's another thing entirely.
So as your thrusters jettison to life, you pull away from the pack into the shadows of the asteroids. Give me a mobility check and a systems check.
I made my mobility, and do you want a systems check for the sensors?
Yes. So basically you're moving forward in an attempt to recon, and then you're making a sensor check, system check, to see if you pick anything up.
I did, and I systems, but luckily I got a 15 instead of a 16.
Okay, cool.
So I succeeded on both.
So you might have a bit of frustration as your sensors aren't picking up this blip as frequently and as consistently as maybe Gladiator Epoch's mech, and that's something that you maybe store in the back of your head as something you need to look at later. But you find it, a single blip, and as you move closer, you see like that single blip, like in sandbox video games, it'll have like the one location, and as you get closer, it's like, oh, this is actually 3 locations. As you move forward, you see these lights kind of flare to life and outline the edge of your scanner. There's easily 50 plus mechs hidden in this
with that, I go as quiet and dark as I can, but I am definitely going back the way I came.
Give me a final mobility check.
What did you say?
One final mobility check.
That one I made by a ton. I rolled a 4 and I have 12.
Then yeah, you're easily able to return back to your fire team.
I'm also keeping a close check on if I'm being followed.
If you want to give me another systems check.
That I made by quite a bit.
Doesn't appear that you're being followed. Like as you move away, those blips kind of all circle back into one blip and it fades from
I'm
the radar.
going to do something rather tricky. I'm assuming that all of the mechs have internal computer systems for our scan pop-ups.
Sure.
I'm going to radio back in the most obvious encryption that we carry. One that I'm pretty sure has already been broken.
Okay.
Saying I couldn't find anything, but on a subband of that communication pop up mechs in front, and it will flash across any digital radar.
Okay. Your enemy
or our side, and that's heavily encrypted.
Go ahead, both Righteous Joker and Gladiator Epoch and roll me a systems check with advantage, because you probably have been let in on the information coming to you, or the means of the encryption. You assume that everything is absorbed by enemy scanners to a success. So yeah, you guys both received the message without much challenge in deciphering the encryptions, much to the dismay of the enemy.
What was the message again?
The message in the clear that I'm pretty sure that they can hear, I didn't find anything. Popping up on your targeting system, just put up an alert, potential 50 mech targets at this location.
And you hear Joker come back. Just to confirm, that's 50. Here?
And you're doing that on a higher encryption than what I sent you?
Well, I would imagine that we have a team comm that we can communicate back and forth with.
Right, but the encryption code that you received that message, you know, has been compromised before.
Yeah, so I guess this would be a higher encryption in order to...
I just want to make sure, because the whole point of him doing all this was so that they don't realize we know they're there.
Gotcha. So, actually, he sends it back in Morris on the higher encrypted one. That's 50.
And you hear, yes, confirming all clear. And on the encryption, it says confirm on the lower encryption. It basically pops on your monitor, confirm. But he says that in the clear, pretty much. Just enough encryption to make them think pilot's using old code.
Okay. Good idea. Fuck.
All right, I want some kind of roll for this. You guys are struggling enough. I want to see if your chassis and pilots are struggling to get through this. So give me a presence check, Hungry Zombie, and give me a systems check, Righteous Joker.
So I did roll it. It was a 3. Well, if you allow it.
But I luckily made it.
So your plan is, though with some slight thinking involved, managed to go through successfully the way you want it.
I just know in my own head, I don't think we can take out 50 mechs if we run into that. And as I told him, I'm not suicidal.
Right.
No, but you are all level 3.
Yeah, but our armor points didn't go up.
No, I guess I don't want to railroad you guys. If you guys want to avoid this confrontation, you most certainly can.
I'm just making it relatively enough that it's hard for them to know exactly what I just don't want to tip off who's
No,
there.
absolutely. You have.
Oh yeah.
They rolled a 17 on their systems check to decode this encryption, so they're like, "Oh, hot damn! They're coming right towards us. We're all good. Everyone get into position." So that's a little insight. That was the blurb that flashed over to the enemy screen for a minute.
I'm gonna call Zombie back with a return, just a return command, and I'm gonna slide over to the ship and lock onto the side of the ship, and then basically you see my hand kind of slide back, and these coils come into the side and punch into the communications of the ship, so I can communicate directly into the ship if you'll allow it. Just a quick jack into the side, basically.
No, yeah, that sounds standard issue.
And I kind of say, slow speed momentarily.
You see the heavy glow of the thrusters kind of dull a little bit.
Okay.
I also sent the same message to the ship. It wasn't just ours. I sent the same message. They picked up the encoding too, or at least I'm hoping they did.
Yeah, they did. You hear someone come over your intercom, Righteous. What is it, Commander? You see something out there?
We've got incoming, and we're going to have to be creative with this. So as soon as Zombie gets back,
we can divert our path from the straight trajectory to the warp. Go a little bit through more of the heavy asteroid field. It might be a little bit more changeling, a little bit more time consuming, but
well, the issue with that is that the strike team is going to have to hang back. So here's what's going to happen. As soon as Zombie gets back, we're going to lock on and thrust at the same time. I need you to go full thrust. We're going to get you at full velocity plus 3 mech power. We're going to cut thrusters and hang back as you get the extra thrust to push through for the same target range. And we're going to fall back to protect your retreat.
Commander, I don't know about that. That's suicide. I can't leave the 3 of you to fight them.
Or I can push you through the asteroid field, which you don't have protection.
You hear like a static as the comms go quiet. All right.
So you have a choice. You have some very good pilots in there that can fire some good weaponry, but unfortunately, I can't see you being able to take out all the asteroids that are going to be coming at you.
You're right. You're right. God damn it, you're right. All right, Commander. What's the plan?
So I would imagine since Zombie is coming back, I'm just going to tell radio to Gladiator and Zombie that we're going to hook up on the side of the ship and then basically just do full thrust. Give it everything. I mean, at the risk of pushing our reactors over the limit. And then the ship's going to do the same thing at the same time. And then we're going to release and then fall back and pivot to face whatever is coming in, because my thought is to give them that. I would imagine that ship's going to be hauling balls at that point.
What I would like you to do, as you see the 3 mechs of Gladiator, Epoch, Righteous Joker, and Hungry Zombie kind of link into the transport vessel, and all the fighter jets are equally revving up the reactors to push this, to make this push as efficient as possible. I would like all of you to roll your reactor die.
Wait, never mind, I'm retarded. What does 3 mean? Is that success or?
No, you need a 1 or a 2.
Oh man, okay.
And that's a failure. So, John, Hungry Zombie's reactor flares to life, and you can feel the heat kind of roasting in your cockpit. You know it's not overloaded, but you're sure you can't exert your mech like this continuously for much longer.
Yeah, I got a 4 also, so but my reactor did just get upgraded. So
Yeah. So justifiably, you listen to the purr of your reactor, brand new out of the box, installed yesterday. New 1 owner.
that's a fucking lie these days.
No shit. And with that, your scanners start to reveal those blips kind of spreading across the field of your vision on your scanner as you draw closer to this wall blockade. It isn't long. I guess, is there anything else you'd like to do? We're about to get into combat. I'm going to let you get one more move before you become within range of their scanners.
So I'm going to have all three of us kind of running scans, because all we're doing at this point is just thrusting, pushing the ship, and letting the ship do the navigation at this point. So would you allow the three of us to do a systems check to check the reactor? And in addition, I just let the team know that be ready, because we're going to do a fighting retreat. And we're going to stay as close to the ship as possible, but we're going to protect them. And that shield may come in handy, zombie. Just be hangry and not hungry.
I want one of you to give me a power roll as you kind of throw the ship through the blockade. So Gladiator, describe to me as both Righteous Joker and Hungry Zombie detach to start the defensive line, protecting the convoy. How do you throw this thing?
Well, he probably had kicked his reactor into gear, and it was kind of like not stalling, but it was kicking some. So he just got into a position where he could you know, like take all that force and launch it as he was letting go.
As you do so, they maybe even cut their power for a moment or throttle harder, whatever would make you. I don't know the thermodynamics in space. This ship cruises out of your chassis hand through the blank space that is the breach in this blockade. And that's when it starts. A hail of lasers flying from sporadic locations in the asteroid field. Need everyone to make a mobility check with disadvantage.
I almost feel like it was a wasted roll because I ended up getting a 3 and a 4.
No, that's a good thing.
But 2 amazingly good low rolls in the same disadvantage.
Okay. I guess I probably could have asked, what are your armor points looking like, guys?
My armor points are at 5 and 19 hit points.
I got 5 armor.
All right, I don't feel so bad if you guys are pushing upwards of 20 hit points, if I'm not mistaken. So as this hail of laser fire descends upon you, John, you take half damage. You take 7 points as the laser fire descends upon you. Everyone else, you're taking 14 points of damage as these snipers from various locations in the asteroids are laying into you.
Would I be able to put up the reactive shield? I can cover up to 2 other mechs.
I'll allow it. You guys were prepared for this.
I will roam the reactor, and my reactor is fine.
So what does the reactive shield do?
It just basically becomes a great big wall of energy that blocks attacks.
Perfect. So I'm going to say that everyone can reduce their damage by half. So John, instead of taking 7, you're going to take 3. And Stockwell and Gladiator, you're both taking 7. As this light shield is deployed in front of you, absorbing the blows of this barrage of lots of shit. So
Nice move, zombie. Defensive measures. Let's kick the shit out of these guys.
With the success of your system rolls beforehand, you are fairly certain you know where a lot of these pilots are. So go ahead and give me initiative, which is mobility or system, whichever is higher. If you roll better than your score, you go before the enemy. If you roll worse, you go after. A 12 is success or failure, Dave. Okay. So right on cue after deploying this shield, Hungry Zombie, what are you doing? Though most of these enemies are between the far and distant ranges, I'm going to say that you guys are moving at a higher speed. To an extent, you can move at a higher speed, but I'm going to have you roll mobility to see if you can manage to maneuver through here unscathed, and then you'll be able to take whatever action you like at whatever distance. If you choose not to roll the mobility, I'm going to have the movement count as 2. Or 1 less, rather. You won't be able to get to every enemy you want to fight.
Right now, my first concern is protecting ourselves. So what I would do at most is 2 quick shots with my light weapon and then reactivate the shield, because I'm assuming whatever they threw at us dropped it.
Give me a power check for the assault on the enemies, and then I'm going to say, yeah, you're able to deploy your shield again.
Both attacks are successful, and I need to do 3. At least I'm assuming that's the way it'd work, because
You need to do
of the
3
quick
what?
weapon.
What did you say?
At least that's what I'm assuming would happen with the quick weapon.
What did you ask?
I have a quick light weapon,
Right.
so I'm assuming those are 2 separate attack rolls.
Yes, correct. And it's
I'm
also treated
successful
as
on both those, and now I need to do reactor check. I'm assuming that
I'm going to just say do it 1 time.
1 time for both.
Yeah.
Okay. I am fine on reactor for this turn.
So your 2 shots ring out, and this is one of those like movie-esque sniper scenes where you see like the Cylon eye of one of the SEA mechs, the stockier model, camouflaged in like a gray and black paint to kind of blend in with these asteroids. He's been posted up on like some bit of debris that has like the outside edge of like a turret, like attachment of this old freighter. The turret's obviously long gone, but he's set up in this position that's easily looking down, and as the reflection of the rifle stems off the sun, you see him, and you shoot, and it blows through the scope of his rifle and like destroys the head of his chassis as he kind of like I guess it wouldn't erupt. Fire's not in space. The debris kind of explodes outward of his head as various fluids eject from his mech. The second is one of the kind of like perimeter guards of this guy who kind of the reflection of his Cylon eye caught the sun as well, or maybe he was kind of thrown out of position by the explosions to him out into the open. He is destroyed as well. I guess if you want to roll damage, these are kind of just minion guys. They have like 3 hit points. Fuck you. I'll guess as much as I want.
I dropped the dice. I'll roll it and put it in chat.
Okay. So that leaves the snipers to go, and their position, though have been compromised, does not relieve you of the fact that there's a lot of them. So I'm gonna need everyone to roll mobility checks. What was your roll, Hungry Zombie? There you go. So as this barrage comes down upon you, the shield is able to mitigate a lot of the damage for you, Dave, but you still get hit. Hold on, my girlfriend wants to roll the dice. So I'll get back to you with damage. As you are barraged by these beams of electricity and plasma, you see like the icons on your system scanner kind of whir to life as like a swarm of flies or bees, as they all kind of like swarm out, and you see the jets in front of you as they all kind of eject from the asteroids they're on and fly towards you. It is Gladiator and Righteous Joker. Righteous Joker,
You
give
hear
me a second.
zombies say that you guys need to stay close. I may have a trick that might get us out of here or might get us killed. I have no idea.
That sounds wonderful. And what did you say was coming at us? Was it lasers or was it like rockets?
Yeah, it's like a barrage of roughly 11 damage for you, Dave, and 5 for the two of you, Gladiator Epoch and Hungry Zombie. If you played Fallout 4, these are laser weapons. They even make the same noise. Wow, 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 wow. If there was noise in space.
What range are they at?
They are at various. Most of their weapons are long distance weapons. This is like a choke point that they have established. So they're at like distant range, still hitting you. But it's up to you, Gladiator and Joker. What are you doing?
Did you have something planned, Gladiator?
I don't think I'm close enough to do it. So I was thinking about using my missile barrage.
Like I said, I will allow you to move as far as you like if you succeed a mobility check.
Well, I would try to get as close as I can and try to hide behind cover then.
Mobility. Unless you don't want to go that far.
I succeeded. I got a 5.
So yeah, I'm going to let you get within range of anybody you want to.
Alright, I'll try to get as close as I can, but like I said, I would try to hide behind some like debris or something that would make it harder for them to hit me.
Are you using your action to hide?
Yeah.
I think he has 2 use actions, though, right? I mean, he can do one
it's
to
one
attack
move,
and
one move, one use. Actually, it's move in action. I think it's double moves in action. I think you get move and then two. Fuck. When was the last time you even played this game?
I think it's 2. You pretty much can move and attack or attack and attack.
No, you get 2 actions. You can move and attack, move and test, move and use, or any of the combination, additional event. So yeah, moving would count as one, and then hiding would count as another. So I'm gonna let you choose between presence and mobility.
I'll use mobility because I got better mobility. Let's see. Alright, cool. I succeeded.
So yeah, you're able to hide. Joker.
How far can we move again? What's movement?
As far you can technically only move one distance, but like I said, if you succeed a mobility check, you can move as far as you want. Right now, at least, with just the momentum that you guys were carrying from the transport vessel.
Okay. I am going to go for a the nearest one and pull out my chain gun and go for an attack.
Give me power.
All right, roll power. My power roll is a 7, so that is a success. And
I'm gonna say you take out 7 of them then.
oh wow, nice, excellent. So this chain gun just erupts with, and actually pushes me back, not a full distance, but pushes me back. And do you want me to roll damage or just we took him out?
Go ahead and give me damage.
I think the chain gun is going to do 1d8.
I think it's the same no matter what weapon you use, except for no heavy gets above heavy weapons do.
That's 8 points of damage.
So yeah, you actually managed to get like an extra kill as you're like some of these are mechs, some of them are fighter jet planes, like spaceships, like all kind of like fanning out into kind of formation. As you kind of spray them, you see one of them like crash into an unsuspecting ship for an extra kill that you aren't actually technically responsible for.
All right, and I'm rolling a reactor die to do an additional chain gun attack.
Go for it.
And with that one, I rolled a 1 on the reactor die, so
Bump you down.
Yeah, and with that one, it's a 6 for power, so success.
All right, another 6.
Actually, it's a 9 because I get +2 on attacks because it's a heavy chain gun, but it's still, my power is a 16. So, yeah, I do a total of 7 points of damage.
So yeah, your chain gun continues along the path. You strip a line of these enemy fighters as they spring to life.
And I kind of hit the radio button, and you see it kind of light up for a second as it's searching for their signal. And would you allow me a chance to grab an open radio comm that they would have?
Give me a system check.
Yeah, that's a 7.
So yeah.
Come get some. That's all I say.
Edgy as ever. That brings us to the top of the order with Hungry Zombie.
Okay. I'm gonna do a quick burst with my gun, flying towards them.
Give me power.
And that is good. 5 and 7 damage. The second shot is also good. And then I'm going to move up towards the party.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted there. Go ahead and roll me some damage, Hungry Zombie. I want to say you successfully moved towards the party. I'm going to say
3 and 7.
3 and 7, so 10 more explode in front of you. This is where you notice something. all of you, without even rolling, you see someone turn around. Someone fly the other way towards the caravan. There is an ethereal glow about his jets that kind of set him apart from everyone else. There's like a mist or like a cast off that comes off his reactor that makes him a little bit different. He's distant, but in 3 turns, he's going to make it to the caravan. And that's where we're going to take our break, because I need to go to the bathroom. So go ahead and refill your drinks. Smoke them if you got them, whatever everyone else says. We'll meet back here at 9:35, because I got
So that's what we're doing.
Yeah, it'll hopefully make up for it at the end. For those of you guys tuning in or tuning in later, thank you for joining me. This is an adult game, so I apologize if I didn't make that clear before. I'd like to thank my players for being awesome and sticking with me, and we'll be back. Tonight we are using an extra couple things that we decided on. We added a extra action to vent your reactor, so you can spend a turn cooling your jets to bump your reactor die up. And then we also added a dump your reactor action to essentially drop your reactor without rolling it at the boon of having an additional action. So far so good.
Everything come out okay?
For the most part, average burn.
That's a good thing.
You wash your hands.
Hell no.
And then he's eating. This is why I love you, Baron. Just a dirty man.
That's disgusting. Of course I wash my hands. I'm going to eat this handful of Skittles and we'll get back to it.
Taste the rainbow.
You know me. If you don't think red Skittles are the best, get out of my face. And I believe we are all back, so might as well get right back to it, hey?
I like my teeth, so I try to avoid Skittles.
Yeah. I like to live my life without limits on fun and happiness.
Living life on the edge.
The
Eating my
edges.
Skittles.
You gotta live faster and die young, man. Skittles are the quickest way to do that, don't you know? But anyway, so the three of you are amidst a hellfire of combat. As you noticed a lone pilot turn around and make way for the convoy. And like I said, you have about 3 turns. The movement's going to be a little bit more restricted now. You won't be able to go as far. You'll be able to go the standard distance, but with the amount of enemies you're facing, I'm going to still have you roll a mobility check to move in this combat. Hungry Zombie, you just went. The enemies are now going. So that brings us to the bottom. Joker and Epoch.
Gladiator. That one's yours.
You guys here? Go. I've got this.
Yes, sir. Don't gotta ask me twice. And I think Gladiator would pretty much like put his feet on wherever he's taking cover in and kind of like kneel down and repel himself to go after this person.
Because you were kind of in a position beforehand, Epoch, I'm going to let you roll this mobility check to move with advantage.
Alright, I got a 3. That's a success.
So you are able to jettison through the flurry of enemies roughly far away from the enemy. You have one more action should you choose to take it.
Am I in distance that I can hit this guy?
With a close range, no. With a long range, I'm going to say yeah.
Well, could I hit him with my rockets or?
Let me check. Your missile barrage, if I'm not mistaken. Rocket barrage.
Far.
Yeah. So I'm going to say yes. Yes, you can.
So what you want me to roll?
Test power.
It powers as itself.
So go ahead and describe to me as you deal 44 damage to this guy.
Yeah, he probably, like, as he repels to go after him, he opens the chassis to shoot the rockets, and now he's going to shoot the rockets. He pretty much just stops, and the rockets just go and hit him side to side.
Go ahead and roll me some damage.
Alright, that's 7 total.
What the hell are all my d4s? So as you fire your rockets, you see some like lasers emit from his chassis as some of these are targeted, and he is able to deflect 2 points of damage. The rest take purchase as you see like the impacts kind of jostle him along. Joker.
Zombie, you want me to support Gladiator? Is that what you're saying?
All you got from me was save the. Basically, I've got this. Is all you got from me.
All right. Test of the greenhorn. And I'm going to use a movement to go support Gladiator. And on the launch, I'm going to... so you wanted a mobility check, right, for movement?
Yes.
Which I made. So I'm able to... I got a 3. So now I'm going to... while I'm flying, I'm going to pull the railgun and fire it on the one that just entered the fray. And I got a 1.
So I'm going to say take max damage and then roll again.
$18 points of damage.
Laying in the heat. So you see the same thing. These kind of laser beams come out, and all your shots, though on target, don't seem to all make purchase. He absorbs 4 points of damage. You said you had rolled an 18?
Well, the total was 18, yeah.
Yeah, so he absorbed 4 points of damage. And you see some of his armor of the chassis kind of chip away. That brings us to the top of the round. Joker.
Wait a minute. You said
sorry.
the movement was allowed to do 2 moves?
That was before. Now that the enemy has kind of flourished to life, I'm going to reduce it back to the standard option, but you still have to roll mobility just because there is the debris and now enemies kind of targeting your location.
Baron giveth, Baron taketh away.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I said, though, you are able to dump your reactor die 1 die to make a 3rd action. So
That's what's happening. And you want me to roll my reactor die?
nope, I'm going to say that if you dump your reactor die without even rolling, you're immediately bumping it down.
All right. So at that moment, you see this just eruption of green and blue smoke that just erupts from Joker. And he just pulls the trigger. Got a 6 for power. And that's a total of 7 damage with the railgun.
God damn. You guys are blowing through this guy because I can't roll fucking armor. This one finds a lot more purchase than the one before. So how much damage did you do?
7.
So you see like part of his chassis kind of detach as the left arm is removed from his mech. Top of the round, he is at 2 moves away from roughly. He could double move on his turn to get there. So, Hungry Zombie, your move. You are surrounded by a cataclysm of mechs and fighter pilots.
So roughly how many are left?
You're talking to mute, brother.
Dope. So I would say about 20 of them. And then there's
Okay.
the lone soldier.
Now, an angle that I can get almost all of them to be behind the reactive shield. It can cover the entire near area.
Okay. So are you wanting to be a shield for your companions as they fly away?
What I'm trying to do is to cut the enemy.
You cut out.
Yeah, I missed it. Sorry.
Okay. What I'm trying to do is to cut the enemies off away from me.
Gotcha.
They aren't doing much of any real damage to us other than over time they're going to get us. At this point, I'm hoping to buy them enough time that if I do a double move next round, we'll be far enough away from them that we're not worth their time.
Okay. Go ahead and roll presence to see if you can maintain their attention, if you will.
That made it by 5.
So I'm going to say that, yeah, you've managed to put yourself in between them as you kind of jetted through the middle, and as they circled back, you've got a large enough shield covered that they have at least they have been intercepted for the time.
Okay, and then I will start to head back.
Go ahead and roll mobility.
And I made it by a bunch.
Okay, perfect. So you are able to jettison through the asteroid field. The enemy's turn. Unless you want to go, do you have anything else?
That's it for now.
Okay. So the enemy, you see...
They're a little intimidated this round, right?
The fighter pilots, yeah.
They opt not to move.
they retreat. No. So the mech that had jettisoned away, you notice that... Actually, I want both of you to take system checks that are following him. So Epoch and Righteous Joker.
I got a 2x this either.
So you notice a strong reactor reading coming from this mech as he is hurtling towards the ship. You see now that he's less trying to capture it as he is just trying to throw himself into it. I'm gonna let you both get a reaction to this because I didn't really anticipate you guys blowing through him so fast. But you see his reactor revving up, so both of you make power to see if you can stop him. All right. God damn it, Dave. Give me some damage, Dave.
So you're saying that I'm moving to him? Is that what we're talking about?
I'm saying that you blew him up if you roll a certain amount of damage. So how much damage are you doing?
So it's 7 plus 10 is 17 points of damage.
So yeah, as you hit him, you notice, or not, you don't notice, is this reactor revs high above its performance grade, and you hit it, there's an explosion in space of concurrent energy and kinetic force that blows him out of space. So
and
that
damages the transport ship, right?
that's hard to tell from here. You can run a systems check if you'd like.
Well, it's my turn, so I'm going to send a signal to the ship asking, systems check. Is the transport okay?
Comms quiet.
You hear the slamming of the, like, hitting the comm board. Fuck! Still have a movement, though, right?
Yes. Oh, actually, it's not your turn yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna need. Go ahead and roll me mobility with advantage, Hungry Zombie.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Okay. So, despite the fact that you have a serious cover fire and an advantage of just the sheer intimidation of these enemies, the few sporadic fires that did make it through, you take 2 points of damage. And you see the transport's power give out. Righteous Joker, Gladiator Epoch, your move.
All right, so I'm going to, since we've taken out the elite, if you will, I'm going to say Gladiator and we need to provide cover, and I need, Zombie, we need you to plug into the ship and see what's going on with it. So, in other words, on your turn, plug in and see if you can restore power to the transport vessel.
It'll take some time for Hungry Zombie to get there. You guys were a lot closer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would figure we definitely want to check up on the ship, make sure that, you know, everything's good.
Yeah, so we're probably flying back.
You
to
hear?
the ship.
A little busy at the moment. If you would, go ahead and tap the system and start transmitting to me the tech data if you can. I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Gladiator support. Support him, and I'll go tap the ship. What's your systems chip?
My system's 11.
All right, so we're about the same boat. All right, I'm gonna check the ship, and then you go support Zombie for the moment.
Gotcha. I'll try to go as fast as I can to meet him.
That'll take. Oh, turn my camera off. That'll take probably 2 movements to get back to him. So I think you double moved. Or no, did you single move?
I'll double.
I single moved. They've single moved twice, so they're 1 movement away from me.
So yeah, 1 movement and you'll be back to him.
Gotcha. I don't know.
I'm gonna need you to roll mobility if you are moving.
Who, me or?
Whoever's moving, I think it's Gladiator Epoch moving. Roll
I
mobility.
succeeded. I get a 7.
Okay, so yeah, you managed to navigate successfully back to Hungry Zombie. You have 1 more action left.
Yeah, I think I'll take out my little submachine gun this time and start unloading on them.
Go ahead and give me a power.
Oh man, I failed.
So though you kind of flew in a hero style, you fired wide and didn't catch purchase on any of the enemy. Joker.
Finding my off mute button. All right, so I am moving to the transport vessel. I think that's so I'm having to move as much as possible to get to it.
I would say that's 2 moves.
Okay, and then I'm gonna. I mean, I can't vent my reactor again, so because I'm at a D4.
Could you dump your reactor to vent your reactor?
Because I guess it would push it back up 1 or
On
2.
on a success, a 1. I mean, you could move and then vent your reactor and then dump your reactor to move again.
Yeah,
you'd be at the same spot you are now.
Yeah, I got a 1 on that.
On the dump reactor or the vent reactor?
Yeah, so I'm trying to increase it.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that a 1 fails.
Okay, opposite. So my reactor is shot at the moment.
Yeah, you have jettisoned and went to vent your reactor and have essentially.
So it does the opposite.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bump you down. You didn't like push yourself too far. Should you move again, you have the opportunity to actually no. If you do move again, yes, you would bump yourself down. But venting doesn't cost you 1. Should you fail?
So I'm still at D4 then.
Correct.
All right, but I'm at the ship.
Yes. Actually,
Okay.
no. You only moved once, so no. And I'm going to need a mobility for that. Sorry. A 2. Okay. So yeah, you are halfway to the ship.
All right, so then that's Gladiator, right?
Yes. No, Gladiator went. I'm sorry.
No,
Hungry Zombie, you are being swarmed, but you have now gained the aid of Gladiator Epoch. I want all of you to make a systems check.
I made it.
Success.
You're all noticing your like perimeter scanners are kind of freaking out right now. You're unable to get a read on the enemy's locations, and I mean you can see them to an extent, but most of your systems are actually going haywire right now.
Am I able? Can I do a presence to see if it's jamming or something like that? That I can go around my systems to counter systems.
I would say a presence would be very accurate in that.
Made it by 1.
Hungry Zombie, you have never seen anything like this in your entire life. It's like you're experiencing the heat of the sun as well as the gravitational pull of like a black hole in certain locations. 3 of them, to be specific.
Okay, then can I try the systems to reboot my systems to compensate?
Yeah, I would say that's. I won't cost you a action for the last one, but I will say this one costs you 1.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're good. I did it by 5.
So your systems are actually recognizing tears in like the fabric of reality. you see 3 portals open in the space field ahead of you. They're hard to visualize at first. Your eye kind of glances over them as almost headache-inducing in quality, but it seems as if there's something coming through them. And your systems are now kind of adjusting to recognize this phenomenon.
At that, I take it that Gladiator's near me.
Yes, he is.
What I'm going to do is I have no idea if I can move him far enough, but I'm going to grab a hold of him and basically do a double move. Actually, I'm going to do a triple move.
You already used one action to kind of adjust your system, so you'd have to dump your reactor twice to double move or triple move.
I will double move.
So that'll require you to dump your reactor once and make 2 mobility checks.
Made it. Made it.
So without damage, you're able to make your way towards these rifts, if you will.
And I did make the 1 reactor roll for moving twice.
It's actually just a dump of the reactor. You are bumped down 1.
Right, but because I took the same action twice.
I understand what you're saying now. I gotcha. So yeah, as Joker says, these space sphincters have opened up, revealing some sort of extraplanar something or other. And as it goes to the enemy's turn, you see the fighter jets actually kind of retreat. You actually see most of the enemy retreat back to where they were originally posted from, the kind of like Hulk mass floating through space of the pilot that had jettisoned towards the convoy that lays derelict in space right now. One of these portals is probably far away, and you see almost a tendril of energy kind of attached to the derelict chassis of the mech you just blew out of the air. And the tendril, whatever, is very organic in nature, but you see it's intertwining with this mech. So no, you are not getting attacked by anything this round, but there's some serious shit going on with that far portal. And then the 2 portals in between you and them reveal something you've never seen or witnessed. And I need a presence check from everybody.
Barely made it.
Jose, you are fucking scared as you see a massive alien monstrosity with a gaping maw held together by attachments of stringy flesh at the cheeks, ripped open in holes, no eyes, massive claws on the crooks of wings that kind of are pulling itself through this eldritch hole in space.
Yeah, he would definitely be like, you know, a zombie's grabbing his hand and taking him away. He'd probably be like, what the fuck is going on?
And like a serpentine fish, it kind of wiggles out of the portal and into the vacuum of space. You have 2 of these in front of you. And it is your turn, Joker and Epoch.
Holy shit. I think with him freaking out in this and being in front of him, he's gonna open up the missile base again to like shoot out everything.
Are you giving off any indication that you're freaking out, or are you just opening up your missile bays.
Well, I mean, he told me since I failed the check that I was freaking out. So.
Right, and I'm just asking if you're giving off any indication, or you just release the missiles at this point.
Oh no, he would probably just like out of instinct, like release the missiles.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna need you to roll reactor to fire again, and then I'm gonna need you to roll power.
I got a success on both of them.
So you see the barrage of missiles lay into this eldritch horror. Go ahead and roll me some damage.
$14.
Hold on. I need to find my health chart. So, as your missiles barrage into the flesh, they warp and ripple in blisters and cool in the emptiness of space just as quickly. You see some pockmarks and damaged flesh from where you attacked. And if there was anything for the sound to reverberate off of in space, you'd hear the cry of a massive beast. But all you see is the gape maw of this monstrosity as it flies towards you. I think you have you have one more action.
Yeah. Is there any way that I can, like, since he's carrying me, is there any way I can boost my speed so we go faster?
Give me mobility.
I got a 10. I succeeded.
So yeah, I would say you definitely can push both of you along.
What's the average size of these?
I would say mechs are like roughly 60 feet tall ish, and these things are probably from tip to tail, probably 80 to 90 feet long. The torso is probably only 40 feet long, 50 feet long.
Yeah, I would imagine that I've got the computer basically is pulling up schematics, and then just an overlay on the screen is pulling up the length of them, and then just midsection is 40 to 50 feet long. Unknown parameters, unknown being, and he kind of pops off a message over to the other two, and he's like, "Gladiator, weren't you a snake wrangler back in the day?" I mean, I'm not judging, but that was, I thought that was part of your past.
He'd be like, ha ha ha, fucking funny. Does this look like a fucking snake?
Well, this would be like the ultimate snake wrangling, wouldn't it? And so it looks like the missiles actually did damage to the ones that he hit, right?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm going to kind of drift over to... Actually, I am on the ship currently, and I need to try to figure out what's going on with the ship.
Right.
So that is a 2. So as I plug into the ship to pull a systems check.
You are able to access the comms of the ship, and it's static for a moment, and then you hear prisoner containment failure.
So at this point, I'm plugged into the computer, right? Can I get a status of what the readings of the life forms on the ship are?
It seems as if of the original crew, which would have been like uplinked to the ship, out of like 30 people, 17 remain. And then the prisoner, which has like a different tag, it appears to still be in the containment chamber, but that is kind of been confirmed as not to be true.
Who's in command? Or the numbers? Are the numbers actually going down as I'm actually seeing the live
as you kind of finally pull it up and you see like the 17 remaining, as you're kind of going over the statistics of the ship, it drops to 15. And another moment later, 14. Would you like to make contact with anybody on the ship? Are you trying to do anything further with the ship?
I am going to try to contact the lowest plebe on the ship that's available.
Give me a systems check with advantage because you're already linked in.
That's an 8, so it is a success.
DeVito comes on the line.
What the fuck are you doing on the ship? Well, no matter.
Hey, Joker, you need to get the fuck in here, man. Whoever discontinued this shielding block for the prisoner, he's out. She's out. Whatever. It's androgynous. It doesn't matter. She's out, and she's killing the crew.
You need to force a shield block around the... You need to contain the area that this alien is in currently.
We can't find her. She's gone. People just keep flipping off the map.
So the ship system is unable to locate the Martian?
If you're getting the same schematics I am, she's still in her chamber. Still in the lockup. And at this moment you hear, Commander? And like a thud to the floor.
We've spoken before. Pick up the comm.
There's a brief silence for a moment. And you hear like the someone's moving a microphone. Hello.
Greetings, alien one.
She is speaking like a very formal English.
Mm-hmm.
I don't speak formal English, so use your fucking imagination.
That's why I responded with greetings.
And who may I be addressing?
This is Commander Stockwell. I had the honor of retrieving you. So I would imagine that I'm your ultimate target.
Oh, yes.
If you'd like to meet me, I am on the coordinates, and I just lay out the coordinates. Come join me. There's a engineer mech located. It's best I can do at this point, but it's located on Deck 2, Tier 1. But I would imagine that you're intelligent enough to figure that out. No sarcasm intended.
And then
come join me.
I think I may.
It was all me.
I think I may accept your offer. Call sign Righteous Joker.
That's me.
I'll see you soon. And you hear like the garbled sounds of like the mic dropping to the floor, and like the tink of boots on like a metal causeway as this individual walks away.
Okay, and I'm going to quickly radio to these two. Shit's about to get real. The transport's lit up. less than half the crew left. Hopefully I saved the rest of them. And I don't think that the Martian picked up on that because it's like our team comm, if you will.
Unless she definitely didn't hear any of that. So I think it is, yeah. Did you go, Epoch? You moved to get, you both moved farther away?
Yeah, it boosted our, range or whatnot.
Okay. So is there anything else you guys like to go before we top the order? No? All right. So as the mics go quiet in communication with this individual, you see a bay door open on the exterior hull of the transport vessel. And ejecting from the exit dock is the very mech that Dave had described, though it looks a little different. You see that this mech's reactor is flying a different color, similar to the mech that you had blown out of the sky previously, that is now attached to the energy tendril coming from the vortex. It is, though not the most efficient model mech, you see that just from systems radar. Shut up, Dave. You see on your standard system radar that this thing is flying significantly more efficiently than mechs should even be possible to. Basically, this thing is taking double movement without rolling reactor. Its reactor's fine for as fast as it's moving. And we're going to go ahead and go to Hungry Zombie. Hungry Vampire.
It's a hungry vampire.
Okay, so how far away from the ship am I?
I would say you're one move now.
Okay. I am going to keep a hold of Gladiator, and we're going to jump the one movement we need, and I'm going to get right where he was for the access to the computer. Also, was that communication that he on an open channel with us?
Yes, it was.
I'm going to go and try to move us up. Yeah, I made it. And I'm going to try to link in to the system.
So I need a mobility check for the move and a system check for the hack, if you will.
The movement was good. The hack is also good. And I'm out of actions.
Is there anything in particular you'd like to do with that hack, or are you just trying to hook into the system of the ship?
Well, if I can do a hack, I will. If I can't, where I just get access, I'll go with what we've got.
I'm going to give you the option to hack and do something with the ship, should you like to.
The first thing I'm going to do is run a systems diagnostic. I want to know what I can do next turn to get the ship moving.
Well, I mean, for the record, the only thing on the ship is the roughly 14 crew members, which is important. I do get that. But the prisoner had ejected with a engineer mech.
As far as I know, she's going to it right now. So I figure she's going to come and get us rather than get away anyway.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna let you go ahead and do a system diagnostic, and basically, main engines have been fragged for a moment. The impulse of this chassis exploding kind of set things off kilter. It's going to take like a turn with a systems check to kind of put everything back the way it was.
Okay.
And that brings us to the enemy's turn. So, Gladiator, Joker, and Zombie, you are all kind of circumventing this ship at the moment. And you see the flying mech pilot returning to attack you, Righteous Joker. And like I said, you've never seen an engineer mech move quite this quickly. Or efficiently, even. And if I can find my stat block. So it's honestly just going to slam into you. I need you to roll mobility with disadvantage because you are attached to the ship.
That's a failure.
So as this, and I almost picture like a really bulky like salvage model, like this is a mining vessel almost, or like a repair unit you would send out into space because you guys were flying through an asteroid belt. So as it does, it collides into you for 4 points of damage.
Okay.
And upon hitting you, it's going to try and board your mech. So I need you to roll either a system or presence check.
I succeeded on a presence check, and I think that Joker, being who he is, actually responds back with, I realize we're from different cultures, but usually a lady asks for a dance, as would a man in any culture. This is very rude. As the connection is broken off, and I'm like burst from the ship, and my hands are up in the air at the moment.
She's tugging at your belt.
Yeah, trying to get into my mech.
Your mech pants. As this bombardment failed, you hear on the comm, "You will die, Righteous Joker. And the joke will truly be, as you say, righteous."
Not before we dance.
And that brings us to the monsters turning their way around to attack on all of you. So I need Gladiator and Zombie to both make mobility checks.
I'm assuming mine is a disadvantage because I'm umbilicaled.
No. I'm going to say that just you are umbilicaled right now, so it's kind of like the ship is in freeform with you rather than two people. But now that I think of it, I actually need you to make it twice because there's two of these monsters that came out of the hole.
Well, I had rolled that for disadvantage and I passed on both, so I think we're good.
So the first one, go ahead and do that again for me, John. And Gladiator, did you? Yeah, you got two passes. So you see these two serpentine beasts, claws attached at their elbows of the wings, or however you describe bat wings with claws. And though you are able to kind of jettison your jets to position the transport or yourself between it and whatever you're protecting, your reflective shield or whatever you have active right now allows you to absorb most of this impact, but you both still take 5 points of damage as just the brute force of this massive creature is unleashed upon your chassis.
Really dumb question. Do I get to hit back or not really?
Not right now, no.
So I think previously we've been allowed to, like, use a mobility or something to sort of move out of the way or something. But
yeah, and I guess you both passed. I'm gonna let you. All right, yeah. Go ahead and make an attack back.
Do you want me to roll power first, or?
Yeah.
Damn, I failed. Got an 18.
So yeah, this thing has like swiped and it maybe even knocked your gun arm back, so you couldn't get a clear shot. Zombie, if you'd like to make a move in response to this attack as well, you can.
I'll go ahead and try to swing. It's not my first priority, though.
Okay.
And I'm enacting my ability to reroll a 20.
Okay.
I still failed, but at least I did critically fail.
Solid.
I guess I was a little distracted.
Oh, yeah, Jose, if you... Yeah. You wouldn't have had to roll. So go ahead and give me some damage and then roll your reactor.
Oh, that's cool. Don't worry about it. Next time
Oh,
I
man.
happen,
It's fine. Go ahead and roll it. Otherwise, we're going to be here all night.
Alright, so I roll a 1d6.
Correct.
Oh, I rolled the reactor first, right?
No, you roll a d6, then you roll the reactor.
The d6 roll was a e2.
Okay.
And so was the reactor.
So your reactor is bumped down. Go ahead and describe to me as you pop this organic vessel in space.
I probably, like, when it was coming at me, I had my shield and, like, my axe up. So as out of reaction, he sliced it up and hit it in part of his jaw.
And as you do so, it kind of like rips apart, and similar to like the mech you blew up with the round to the head, how the hydraulic fluid and various other internal fluids kind of ejected into space. This thing also, though its size, it is a biological life form that's capable of surviving in space. And though it's not the same red blood you'd expect, a cascade of like green blue viscous material is coating you now, and is also like around the spacecraft, kind of making like a cloud. And I think that ends my turn. Yeah. Actually, no. You see the tendril starting to pull this mech into the portal. And actually, did my chick go? She ran into Dave. So yeah. Bottom of the round, Joker and Epoch.
go, Gladiator.
Alright, I got a quick question. Like, how big is the mouth of that thing?
Probably 30 feet in diameter.
So if I wanted to, like, pretty much go inside his mouth, I could?
You'd have to be in like a diving position, but yeah.
Gotcha. I mean, I would definitely try to and have my melee weapon out so I can just try to get in there and just...
Give me a power with advantage.
I passed.
So yeah, go ahead and roll damage.
Six.
And as you do so, you are now lodged yourself in like the mouth of this thing. I'm gonna let it make an attack against you, just because you're in its mouth. It's gonna just bite down. Go ahead and roll me a mobility with disadvantage.
Surprisingly, I passed by 1 point.
You're still gonna take 6 points of damage. as it kind of just chomps down on you. Joker? Actually, is there anything else you'd like to do, Epoch?
Not really, unless I can attack him again.
Well, you could dump your reactor to make a third attack.
I might as well. Can I? Well, yeah. Could I like use my rockets? And actually, that's not a good idea. I'll just attack him. I don't feel like blowing up in there. So,
Actually, depending on how you angle it, you might actually shoot those right down its throat, right down its gullet.
I'll go with my payload. All right, I'll go for that. What you want me to roll?
Give me. What did I say? You're firing down. Give me power. Give me power with advantage because you're inside it.
That's definitely a pass.
So go ahead and roll 46 damage.
46 or 44?
Is it 44 on the sheet? Give me 44.
Let's just say if you want me to do more damage, I don't mind.
Actually,
It's
you are inside it. So
This sounds so dirty. Alright, 1 second. Oh damn, that was no. My normal roll was 10. This one was 11. But hey, I'll take the extra damage.
yeah, I mean, what can you do? So as you explode a barrage of rockets inside this, you see like the small, pockmarks, not pockmarks, the small like crevices of where these impact missiles hit inside its body, and any kind of like forward momentum it was doing is now over. So Joker, I'm gonna need you to roll your reactor die, Jose, twice. Actually, no, dump it once and then roll it.
So I rolled a 1 on a d4. So I go, damn, I'm screwed, I think.
Your reactor has just been overheated. So basically, that you're inside the thing's mouth is probably the biggest inconvenience. Okay, where the hell are the overheat rules?
He has no action next turn.
Okay. Yeah, you just got to spend the turn venting, to my knowledge. So that brings us to Joker.
So this is how your story ends, does it? As I pull up the railgun and I hold her head of the mech across from me, taking the risk of what it is, putting the chain gun into the chest of the opposite mech.
I'm going to say power with advantage.
That's a 2. Actually, it'd be a 4 with the +2, but so 5 points of damage, but it's at close range.
So yeah, you're hitting all fairly localized spots. This wasn't a very powerful mech to begin with. So I'm going to say you decimate the hell out of this thing with some attacks. So what kind of damage are we looking at here?
That was 5 points of damage, right?
5, okay. So yeah, this thing is barely hung together as you've kind of eviscerated the body.
So the engineer mech just broke in half?
I mean, it's bulky, but it's used for like
Repairs. It's not meant for combat.
It's not meant for a chain gun to the chest.
Okay. So she is now exposed to space?
Herself, no. There is an eject pod. It just hasn't gone off yet.
So reactor die for a second chain gun.
Okay.
So 1 to 2, it does not fail, right?
Correct.
And so I got an 8 on power.
Wait, no. Did you rolled reactor to make a third attack? Is what you said?
Second
Second attack. So is that your second action?
Yeah.
Then the
But
one
anytime
or two would drop you, yes. But you can make the attack first.
Oh, I thought the reactor was a 1 to 2 was a success.
That's if you're no. Anytime we do anything involving the reactor, 1 and 2 is a failure.
Oh, okay. So I got a 2, so the reactor's going to fail on me. But
you will be able to make the attack before the reactor fails.
All right, but so I rolled an 8, which is plus 2 is a 10 for 9 points of damage.
So as your comms are kind of flickering out as you are unloading into this mech, I'm going to let you describe the destruction of it, but there's something that comes over the intercom before you are able to complete the action.
Go ahead.
Righteous Joker, you are an admirable warrior and would have easily been joined in my crew of rebels as we destroyed the Martian menace. It is sad that even in such times, millennia after I existed, for strife to still conquer the universe. For you see, that fission in reality is the real enemy. They are coming, and they will destroy you. I wish you the best of luck. As you hear like the as this engineer's mech is obliterated in front of you. And if you feel the need to describe that any further, I will leave that to you.
Yeah, you see the circuits sort of just erupt over the reactor as after the shells are ejected from the chain gun, and as the explosion, this orangish yellow glow erupts from the hull of the ship. We are probably about 5 feet from the ship at the moment. Most of the damage is, of course, contained within the two of us. So
I think you have like the kinetic absorbers or whatever, the stuff that allows you to absorb damage for other things.
yeah.
So not requiring you to use an action, that would probably be mildly absorbed through that.
Right. But my reactor is shorted out for the time being, so next
That's
round
fine. So yeah, you're basically derelict right now.
And you hear you probably hear that pulse that is sent to my teammates that my reactor has gone dead.
So that brings us to the top of the order with Hungry Zombie. You basically have like a tendril poking out of like a wormhole attached to the mech you blew up, and then the one monster in front of you that looks pretty fucked up with like a massive robot shoved down its throat.
Okay, this is gonna get funny. I'm a striker. I can recharge a reactor. Technically, would I be able to temporarily jumpstart the ship?
Yes.
Yes. Can I prep the targeting systems of the computer to unload everything it has into the tendril that right now Gladiator is being eaten by?
Gladiator is not being eaten by the tendril. Gladiator is actually fairly close to you. The tendril is attached to the lone mech that had returned to attack the transport vessel.
I thought he was in the mouth of one of the mechs.
Yeah, I guess you're right. He is in the mouth.
So I'm assuming it's trying to eat him.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, and the reason I want to do it in this order is I know I've got to roll a reactor die to jumpstart the reactor. But I don't think programming the targeting of the ship would cause me a reactor die, right?
No, not unless it was like your third action.
Okay, I'm going to tell it to fire all ship's weapons on the tendril that, the monster that's eating Gladiator.
Give me a systems roll.
That is a 1.
Critical success. I want you to roll. Actually, you'll have a d6 full, and then roll another d6 for damage.
Okay.
So 6 plus whatever you roll.
For my damage, or its damage, or...
Essentially, the ship's guns are d6. So with a critical, you get 6 points given, and then you can roll a d6 for extra damage.
Okay. That's a 5 on my die. But first, I've got to roll to recharge the reactor, which may end up shutting me down.
Fingers crossed.
And that is a 4. So I'm still up and running. I jumpstart the ship, tell it to shoot the lasers, and 11 damage coming in on it.
Go ahead and describe as you kill this thing.
You see all of these little pinpoint lasers just sort of shoot right through it. It looks like a bad cop show or a Western where they finally caught the bad guy in the building. They just shoot the whole building. That is what that tendril looks like.
Jose, you are at disadvantage for mobility right now, so go ahead and roll me a mobility check.
I was mainly aiming for the lower body, so I don't know if that helps.
This thing's only so big. I'm gonna say, Jose, you take 5 points of damage for that. But the fleshy exterior of this monster is blown to shit with this maneuver. Is there anything else you'd like to do?
Hope and pray.
Well, as you destroy this final creature, in front of you, you all see this tendril pull hard back into itself, dragging the mech chassis along with it and disappearing into the void. As the wrinkle in time and space closes, the destruction of the convoy around you and the death of the prisoner to which you were supposed to be escorting. That's where we're going to end our session. All right. Yeah. Thanks for playing, guys. I appreciate you keeping up with my shitty narrative. So we're going to do some closing words. Anything you guys like to say in character or out before we take off for the evening? And you'll see us in the final chapter of Shattered, episode 4. We're going to go ahead and do the same order as before. So Dave, lead us out.
So the commander is currently floating in space, soon to be picked up by probably Zombie, who committed himself well on his first mission. He considers what just happened and the loss of the prisoner a failed mission, first failed mission, and the reality that he'll never have the chance to sleep with the Martian, at least not that easily. But strange sphincters in space releasing serpents. Weird. Things are coming. Things are changing. And yes, she was hot, by the way. But He hopes that both his comrades, Timberwolf, enjoyed his family time during his leave. He did say that he was going to go spend time with family, and that Viper Zenith coordinated his affairs appropriately based on the circumstances. Yeah, I'm Dave with Mournblade Gaming. Thanks for running it.
You know, it's always a pleasure to have you, Dave. Somewhat, I guess. Jose.
Yeah, as Gladiator Epoch is over there trying to jumpstart his mech, which is probably all fucked up by now. He in the comments he would tell Joker, so we're pretty much fucked when we get back, huh?
Potentially. That was kind of a very important prisoner that you guys blew up.
It really depends largely on how we word the report.
You've been slapped on the wrist before. It might only happen again. So finally, John, pleasure to have you finally. For the third time we've tried to get you in a game. We finally got you in. Glad to have you.
Okay. After everyone's in, after everything's calmed down a little, after we've gotten the ship running again, Zombie has one last duty he has to perform. He goes to DeVito's body. He has spent a whole day building a mech frame out of salvaged components that he found around the ship after all of this. He places his body into it, and since we're so close to Mercury, he says, "Old friend, we may have harassed each other no end, but you're going to have one last final flight." And with that, he launches the mech sunward for a final goodbye to a rival and a friend.
And it's with that some upbeat music starts playing as a flashback to DeVito talking about how much he wanted to fly around the sun. And you see the small silhouette of his mech frame as it drifts closer and closer to the sun. And in a somber way, the three of you smile. Because if you look back now, you'll be lost forever. All right, everyone. I was happy to present the third video in my shattered installment of the Mecha Hack, brought to you by Absolute Tabletop and David Black. Really cool stuff if you like giant robots fighting other robots and space monsters and Godzilla and shit like that. Go check it out. It's pretty cheap. Go ahead and go over to the Absolute Tabletop group in general, because there's a lot of cool ass people over there that are down to play. And finally, if you have some cash, back their newest Kickstarter, the Shadows over Drift Chapel. It's a Victorian Lovecraftian style horror with flintlocks and gas lamps. If you haven't backed it, you are a fool. They're working towards some stretch goals. It's already been successfully funded. So the more you guys back this, the closer we get to a setting guide for the world of Glow. So until next time, roll high, because you know we aren't. We will see you in the next video.